Amazing wisdom.
Entrepreneurs,
Business
leaders,
success,
CEOs,
amazing success
around the world.
This is the Success Nuggets Podcast. Have you ever wondered what you could learn and how inspired you'd be if you asked incredible people from around the world about the patterns that drive progress? Get ready to dive into a world of insights and inspiration. This is the Success Nuggets Podcast with the founder of the Digital Light Bulb and your host, David Abel.
And a sunny, smiley welcome to the Success Nuggets Podcast. And I tell you what, if your endorphins haven't kicked in today, then I think my next guest will turn that frown upside down. A huge welcome, Laurie Hamilton.
Oh, thank you so much, David. It's always such a pleasure and an honor to spend time with you.
Laurie, how do you label your life resume and why?
Basically, I am the person that can tell you what's really going on with people. So think of it like two awkward kids across from each other at the high school auditorium. You have your customer who doesn't really know what they want and can't really articulate it because a lot of their problems they just figure are problems they have to live with. And then you have the brand on the other side, and they think what makes them attractive is the cologne they bought at the drugstore, which it isn't. So I figure out what's going on with the customer, what's going on with the client, and then they get together and prosperity.
A beautiful relationship. Do brands really matter though? Do they matter?
Well, let me prove it to you. So I want you to imagine that I have several bars of soap in front of me. So let's do Dial and Dove and Irish Spring, and then like the fancy soap from the grocery store, and then Lava. Lava, if you don't know it, that's like the manly man soap. It's got like pumice and stuff in it. So I want you to think about, okay, we have Dial, Dove, fancy soap, organic soap, the Lava soap, Irish Spring. What soap do you definitely not want on your bathroom counter when someone you want to impress comes over to visit? Just think about that for a second.
Okay.
Now I want you to think about what soap would you actually love to have on the counter when someone that you want to impress comes over to visit?
That one feels that one feels easier to answer.
Okay. So soap is exactly the same. They're pretty much all the same, except for slight differences in fragrance. So your idea of what your soap is saying about you to other people, or what your soap is saying about you to yourself, that's what brand is.
Oh, okay. So how do I now as a business owner unlock my brand value?
Well, the first thing is whatever your brand stands for, you probably are not an expert on. Because whatever you do best as a human or as a brand, you have almost no awareness of because your brain doesn't pay attention to things that come easily to you. Like, have you ever met someone who's like, I'm a people person? No, you're not. Or you're at a party and someone says, I'm funny. I don't think so, sir. Right? Versus when you're watching a movie or a play, you can know that character better than they know themselves because you see the difference between who they think they are and who they actually are. So the first thing you need to do to unlock your brand value is ask your super fans what they say about you when they tell someone else about you. And that's generally speaking what your brand value is going to be.
Oh.
So
Okay,
I can give you an example of that. We worked with a company, it's this big software company. And the head of the company, he talked to me for 45 minutes about all of the software and the firewall and the VPN and a lot of stuff I didn't really understand. And then I talked to his clients and they're like, yeah, we tolerate David talking about that. But what they really do is they process medical exceptions claims. So the 9-year-old kid that should be getting cancer treatment doesn't have to wait 6 months because they find the coding error and they fix it.
If that works, though, this is what I don't understand. How is it that inferior brands succeed?
Well, inferior brands succeed because they have a better customer story. So you and I were talking the other day about Pringles. Pringles, if you just gave someone Pringles versus regular potato chips, you'd be like, this is cardboard. Why am I eating this? But the thing about Pringles is Pringles are not a potato chip. Pringles are a hyperlink to a whole experience, right? You open the can, you pull off the top. They're all in there in the little row, goes back and forth, and you play with it. So it's a toy as well as a snack. And so people like it because when they think about Pringles, they think about this whole experience that they're having with the brand as opposed to just the product. Another example is the iPhone. The iPhone is just now adding features that the Google Android phone had 2.5 years ago. But everyone thinks the iPhone is better because the idea, what the brand stands for, the story in my head, the movie in my head of the customer experience feels more cool and feels more fun from iPhone, even though it's objectively not as good technologically as the Android phone.
There we go. And that is why customer experience matters. And that's how you can hopefully understand that in just a few short moments. Just one more thing, if I can, Laurie. Next generation innovation, brands get to a certain point and they often run out of steam. How do we address next generation innovation?
Such a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. Many, many companies, including clients of ours, think that innovation is about changing the product. No, I teach innovation to many students, and here's what I've learned the hard way. Innovation is when your customers experience more value from your brand, whether you added value or not. So the brand experience, the customer experience is really the next generation of innovation. Every brand that we're working with that's really doing leadership. Product is great, but product is not a panacea. I'll give you two examples. It's a window company, really innovative. They were known for like being the most innovative. And they came out with windows that clean themselves with rainwater. And guess what? No one cared. Can you guess why no one cared? Even though this is an amazing innovation, why did they not care? Because they had no experience of it. There was no indicator that said, hey, guess what? We just cleaned your windows. So having windows that you can see through is not an innovative experience. At the same time, this company came up with an innovation using an app where you could open and close your windows with the super cool, super expensive. Also, no one cared because how often do people actually open all of their windows? 2 to 3 times a year. So you have an opportunity to make your brand better by doing your deep dive on what makes your brand valuable today and making sure people get value out of it. Why do people not want to upgrade their software? Because they're not using 90% of what the software does already, right? So your first line of attack for innovation is what part of our brand are people not getting value from and upping that. And then you make the customer experience, the customer journey, like Mac Daddy amazing. How many of us go to the doctor and the doctor's really nice and then they call you, they email, they text you, they send you a link. And the brand experience is doctor was great. Brand is kind of desperate and frustrating, right? So that's innovation is customer journey.
It sounds like a lot of fun. If I was to be told my windows have been cleaned, I'd quite like that. Just before we wrap up, Laurie, your storytelling career goes back as long as you've been in branding as well. Tell us where you began storytelling and some of the highlights of your entertainment career.
Well, here's the thing. My mom met my dad on a blind date and she knew instantly that she hated him. So, and then after they got married, she was going to divorce him until she found out she was pregnant with me. So I became the child who ruined my life, according to my mom. So other 5 kids, unsolved mysteries. So I started at a very young age going, if I could just explain myself, then people would like me. So I started studying other people. And then when I went to college, my dad unfortunately passed away. So I needed to support myself. So I got a job doing research, doing EKGs and interviews in English and Spanish in the projects of East LA. And I learned an amazing amount. I was also studying linguistics at UCLA, which is all about how language is behavior and language is connection. And I was also studying modern British drama, which is the same thing. It's what we talked about before, understanding a character over time. So since then, I've done 25,000 or more interviews with people in 27 countries, helped generate over $3 billion and won a bunch of awards. And mostly it's because my job is to make you smart about what's really going on between those 2 awkward teenagers. And let's get those kids together and so that's me.
Wonderful. I love the way you kind of serve it up as well as a little tapas meal full of fun. You've packed plenty into this podcast. And if you wonder if people are going to like you after this, no, They will love you, Laurie Hamilton. Thank you so much for coming on. If you could just leave us on a really beautiful note, what is your one golden nugget?
My one golden nugget is that we tend to make our North Star of success from somebody else, money or power, or they like me, or external things. That's not really what works. Your North Star should be what lights you up inside for no reason at all. And that's true for you as a human and for you as a brand. What you love for a reason. And if you can follow what you love, it's like a little dot to dot to not only happiness and success, but feeling like you have a really fulfilling life.
Thank you for brightening our day today, Laurie. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Join David and his incredible guests next time on the Success Nuggets podcast. And to find out more, visit onegoldennugget.com. Thank you for listening.